Hello and welcome, everybody. I don't see myself. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Where am I? There I am. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rustic Spirit, the Becoming Enchanted by the Rustic Spirit. This is our second season, the sixth podcast. Our guest tonight was unable to attend. She is not feeling well. There's a lot of sicknesses going around. So I have John here as my wonderful co-host tonight, and we're going to talk about some things and just go with the flow and see what happens. But before we do that and we get on and start talking, I want to promote myself again. Feel very uncomfortable doing that, but we're introducing Spirit Flames by the Rustic Spirit. This is a soy-based intention candles. I actually have one burning right now. I have the self love, acceptance, and worth. It's something that's a theme in my life right now that I'm trying to build. So all of the candles, all of the stones in here, the scent, everything is all things that are meant to help build that self love, acceptance, and worth. And then we have the divine healer, which is great. I light that when I'm doing Reiki sessions. The protector. Obviously, if you're a paranormal investigator, you want to probably light that candle. And then we have by the light of the moon. So if you're doing some moon work, you might want to be using that candle. So again, we are going to be at Booby's Brewery on May 17th doing an investigation. We are going to team up with Jotniks. That is going to be fun and exciting. I'm very excited about that one. And then the Doss House. You saw the video. Don't listen. Don't pay attention. I forgot to change the slide. This is the Doss House. The end of the month deal is over. It is already booked. Don't worry about that. It is booking crazy quickly. So if you went there, and I think I just saw Sarah Lee, she's at the Doss House right now. So she's, Sarah, I would love you to make comments. What are you doing there? What are you getting? What are you picking up on? I cannot wait till John gets there. It is amazing. We'll talk a little bit about that. Danielle Lynn, owner of the Doss House, she is here in the comments. I don't see her wife yet, Shauna, but Shauna is the other owner of the Doss House. It is a really cool location, and it's heated, and it has a working bathroom. So there you go. Got to check it out. They are doing the Creep It Real. They're still looking for vendors for our first Creep It Real. I think John and I both are going to be at the Doss House for the Creep It Real Festival. But you can send applications, send an email to the dosshouse278@gmail.com to get the application and get figured out. Brittany said she just dropped me off. So are you at the Doss House too, Brittany? And then our other sponsor is the Maine Paranormal and Horror Con. That is happening September 6th and 7th in Maine, Augusta, Maine. They have a lineup, a lot of horror stars. I'm very excited about seeing who all is coming there soon. You can go follow them on parahorror.com, or you can find them on all of the socials at Maine Paranormal and Horror Con. And this is, here's some of the people, just a quick snapshot of some of the people that are going to be there. Ronnie LeBlanc, I love him. Johnny Zaffis, absolutely amazing. And then April Rousset, amazing, again, medium. So there's going to be a lot of good people there. And this isn't the horror ones. These are more of the paranormal. Our other sponsor, which I didn't take this down yet, is Rigsby's Bullies. All of the bullies have homes. Let's give a big shout out, a big celebration to all of the puppies are now in their forever homes. And there will be more puppies coming at next year, but there is going to be a break. The puppies all need a break. So there, as one barks in my background right there, right? I have one of them. I was sequestered to get one. Actually, I wanted one, and I convinced Zella which is Mama. I convinced Zella to make me. I said, "Make me a black one. I want a black puppy, and that looks like you." And I got the exact opposite of her because she's white with some black, and mine has a white face right here, and then everything else is black. So I was like, "Oh, you did make me one." So, wait, we're gonna skip through those because they're gone. I want to talk a little bit about M2D2 Radio. They are a local radio station here in Lancaster and York counties, but they are an internet radio station, so they're globally. You can hear it globally on iHeart, Live 365, Alexa, and Apple Music. They have a great deal right now going on for advertising. Please contact them. For that advertising special. I don't know the exact details. It changes every week. So I don't see her in the comments. Debbie, if you're here, you can contact her, or you can just go to m2d2radio.com and you can reach out to them, or even on, she is a baby Zella, Danielle Lynn. There we go, ADHD. Reach out to them on all the socials as well. So that is all of our sponsors. Let me take a breath.
I say take a breath. That was a lot.
That was. And I skipped through some of it too. So it usually is like, but they're my sponsors. I have what?
She's like, I want attention too. You're doing all this talking.
Come. You've had food. You've had water. We just went out to pee. What do you need now? Okay. Yeah, that's the puppies for you. So, John, how are you tonight?
I'm good. Very busy day. But trucking along. Bitter cold. I will say it is bitter cold. How are you doing?
Yeah, definitely same thing, trucking along. It's cold. I don't mind the cold though. It doesn't really bother me. I'm going through some hot flashes stuff. So when I feel hot, I go outside and I cool off.
There you go.
Love it. Having a bad hair day. So this is why the wrap is on the head tonight. So
Nothing wrong with that.
Let's see who's in it. Colleen is here. She's giving hearts. Hi, Colleen.
Hi, Colleen.
Chloe. Nice to see you, Chloe. John. Colleen says hi, John Covey. And then we have Kathy. Is that someone that you know? Kathy Monkier.
Yes.
Okay. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to see you. And then Brittany. Hi, friends. I have some and love them. Oh, the candles. Yes, she does. She does have some candles. Crystal says, I can't stay long. I need to sleep, but love you. Amazing show. Crystal, I'll see you this weekend. I will see you Saturday. We will be at the Samuel Miller Mansion with Ernie and Paranormal Inc. So I'm very excited about that too. Are you doing anything this weekend? Do you have any shows this weekend, John?
So nothing this weekend.
Okay.
We have some personal fun celebrations going on this weekend, so that's why there's no shows going on. But last weekend was busy for the both of us. So you were at Penhurst, right?
Yes, I was at
How was
Penhurst
that for
doing
you?
The readings. It was nonstop, crazy busy. Barely got a chance to breathe, but it was fun. And when I do readings, I always feel like everybody that that sits at my table was supposed to sit there and receive the messages. So it's very fulfilling, but very busy. You were somewhere last weekend too. Tell us where you were at.
So I was at the Dark Arts and Oddities market is now what they call it, but it's part of the Undead of Winter event that normally happens annually in Milton, PA. It was a lot of fun. Of course, I was there with Amanda and I was there with my mom. And it was really cool to see all the different horror vendors that were there. There are some things there, Stacey, you know how I am. I am totally I'm not against a lot of different things, but it was a whole new world for sure.
A lot of oddities with the dead animals and specimens in the jars and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. People wearing taxidermy boxes all around them, and raccoons. The raccoon was actually really cool. I love raccoons. But it was different. It was cool. And there aren't a lot of events, especially around in central PA, almost smack dab in the center of the state. There aren't any events like that. And so I enjoy doing it. They've been doing it for 3 years. I've ended at the show every single year. And I mean, you were there last year, so you got to witness some of the
I
fun
was.
too.
Mhm.
Um,
I
yeah, I
was.
think now I will say the snow, the snow kept a little bit of people away from the event, but did the snow keep people away at Penhurst at all?
No.
No,
We did
that's
they
good.
did it's over that's more over east, so they really didn't have anything at all.
Oh,
By the
they're
time we
lucky.
got there, it was rain. Yeah. By the
Oh,
time we got there, it was Wayne. It was Wayne.
that's okay.
That's my dyslexia. I do. My R's and my W's, and especially if they're together, it's a mess. Um, yeah, so it really didn't affect it, but I did love, like last year, you didn't go to the party afterwards, or the ball
No,
that they have,
no.
and I did go to the ball. It was interesting.
Yeah, it's fun.
It
Everybody that
was
I've talked
interesting.
to. So my cousin and her husband went to it last year, and it was funny because I asked them, how was it last year too? And they said the exact same. It was interesting. So no,
It was.
it's always
I There was one part, like I took a lot of pictures, took a lot of videos, and there was one part of the show that they put on that I couldn't put on Facebook.
oh
Yeah. I will send you the pictures.
oh boy, that'll be interesting for sure.
I mean, I was able to put some of it on there, but when some nudity and you
Oh
started to
yeah,
see some boobies, it was some boobies. And yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah,
It's
I
it's
mean,
definitely, yeah, I liked it. It's a different artistic way of expression. Um so
I
yeah.
like that.
I mean it was interesting. It was a new experience for me.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, and the
all
good
right.
thing about it, like, for me with that event, I'm only 40 minutes away, so
Yeah.
it's like a no-brainer, and it's fun. Normally we always do paranormal and like metaphysical events, and so to go and do something like that, be immersed in that type of culture, it's a whole it's a whole new world. So
It was,
it's
and I
fun.
do a lot of different oddities events, but that one is definitely like the same crew that puts on some of those, that kind of collaborates with, the Undead of Winter, is my fairy crew. Like they do the fairy
Yeah,
festivals, and they do a lot of the cosplays and things around here, and so I get that artistic. It's just a darker side of it. It's just a darker side of that
yeah,
artistic expression. Not
absolutely.
always my thing, but I understand if it is their thing. So we have
Yeah.
Kevin in here. Hi, Kevin. How's the puppies? And right now, Kevin has two because one of them he's taking to his sister, out in Nevada, I
Wow.
believe.
Oh
Yes,
boy,
she's the
that's a
one that got
distance.
the yeah. I don't know. Are you flying out there, Kevin? And then Jen Jacobs is here. Hi, Jen. Nice to see you. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
in. Her and I have been chatting today, or I think we were chatting yesterday on our Facebook. And I think I want to go there because obviously what I talked about right before the show started. Um, our community was kind of struck tonight with, a death, in our high school. We do not have details. Okay, there has been rumors, but I'm not going to go there. But I will let you fill in the blanks. There has been rumors, um, as to why and how and stuff like that. But we don't know anything, and I'm going to respect families, and we're not going to go there. But on that note, I want to express the importance of mental health. I myself, over the past 2 weeks, I have seasonal depression. It gets really bad this time of year, right before the sun starts coming back and it starts getting warmer. I myself had a really dark and deep experience these past couple days where I had to pull myself out of. Um, I think we need to be more open and talking about mental health. I just this is ridiculous. Like I've known there's a lot right now this time of year. I know 4 kids that have gone inpatient. I know, a few adults that have been struggling and having thoughts. Suicide is not a bad word. Please don't refrain from using it and talking about it and covering it up, because it could help someone that you love, by seeing the signs of it. So that's my spiel. We talked a little bit about that beforehand. It's sad.
It is, and especially when obviously I'm trying to word it in a way to get it across, is that until you experience it in your personal life with someone that you
Hmm.
know, or someone that you're close to, they know, um,
Hmm.
it's something that really should be looked at a lot more, and to kind of be a little kinder to
Yeah.
people, and
Yeah.
understanding, a little bit more, and wanting to encourage help, and wanting to,
Hmm.
you know, be there. And sometimes, I was having this conversation briefly, actually, yesterday and today, at work.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it needs to get a little bit of tough love in order to get them the
Hmm.
help, but it is so worth it at the end.
It really is. It is. And like I said, like Jen, you had a bad time since Saturday. I believe you mentioned it earlier today. Yes, I made a post recently, and in that post it said, I could, I'm people are I don't know if it said I or whatever. I'm literally here fighting for my life, and all people notice is that I'm not showing up for them. Which, I'm not trying to make anybody feel guilty for that. It is the truth, because I didn't reach out to anybody.
No,
I did. I actually eventually did reach out when I was at my lowest, but all people are like, you have to, that's one of the signs. If someone is not showing up, like they're not their normal self, and they're not showing things like and they're not showing up for you the way they used to, and they're not being that friend, or they're even like boss or coworker or something, ask them, reach out and say, hey, are you okay? Don't feel bad because, oh, they're taking things away from me, or they're not giving me what I need right now. That is where you need to start reaching out, I think, to people. And like you said, like, reach out, like, talk to someone, and that tough love, and be like, hey, you're not okay. I can notice this. What's going on? Um, and
I
that's what
can't
Jen
tell
and I were
you
talking about.
how often, especially lately, I will literally ask, people in my life, like, really, are you okay? Or what can I do to help make you feel better? Or
Mhm.
what can I do to help, you know, you through whatever time? And I know that, of course, I mean, I've had it. I've had a lot of issues this past
Mhm.
winter. Um, I there are certain reasons and why I joke around and I say this. Of course, I find I do humor in, sort of, the worst times, but
Deflection. Yeah.
yeah, right. And so, I make the jokes about, like, what can I do to help you, to help me, to help you? Because, right?
I like that though.
But
I like that saying, because a lot of times it is that you need to help. Like, we're helpers, we're healers, but in order to
mhm,
heal, we need to help ourselves. So what is that back and forth? Like, what can we do? How
yeah,
can we collaborate and work as a team and get this done? Like,
absolutely.
it's okay for us to reach out for help, you know?
And I think
It really
that,
is.
and Jen made this statement here. I had to tell someone earlier this
Mm.
week that I was struggling, and she never asks
Mm.
about me, just tells me all of her problems. I think that it's a moment to where if we can just take a step back, and, I encourage this a lot during my own readings that I give to clients, is that sometimes, a lot of the times when I do pull cards, it's talking about reflection. It's wanting to take
Mhm.
where are you at in your life right now, and then
Mhm.
where and or what do you need to, do to kind of move forward. And a lot of times it's we have to take that step back to ask ourselves, how are we doing today? How am I doing today on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah.
For me personally, today I'd probably give myself about like a 6.5 to 7, just because
Mm-hmm.
of lack of sleep. But if we were to also do that for other people that are in our lives, people that we don't normally talk to and ask, like, hey, how are you genuinely doing today? Not just, oh, how are you? Oh, good. That's great. No, no, no. This is let's go a little below the superficial line and just say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I noticed that you've been having either a difficult time or you've been going through this, or I know this has been going on in your life. What can I do? Like, even if it's just listening, you know
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we as people, we're healers too. We always, when people are talking about problems, we immediately either jump to solutions or wanting to help or this and the other. But sometimes we also need to take a step back and realize that just listening also
Mm-hmm.
helps heal the person sometimes. And for me, that's a very important lesson that I've been learning. And then I know that other people, like my mom, has learned. Um, and, it's something that I think would really be very beneficial if we all just ask ourselves, make it a goal, for the rest of this week.
Yeah.
At today's,
Yeah.
Thursday, so Friday, but make it a goal for next week and say,
Yeah.
at least, once a day or wherever, how are you doing? How am I doing? And kind of like, what can I do to help make my life be better? What positive, like what good thing happened today? Like, I actually I see posts from Larissa on Facebook talking about, like, what's a
Mm-hmm.
good thing, what is a good goal or a good what is one of your successes that you had of the day? And it's those sort
Yeah.
of things, so you can sit back and ask ourselves that. And it puts us in that better mindset. We are the
It
power
really
of our
does.
own
Yeah.
mind.
It
And
switches are transmitters, and actually there's scientific basis
yep,
behind that. Switches are transmitters. Yeah.
yeah. And you know what? Optimism is a huge thing with a lot of people. And
Mhm.
I'll be honest, and Amanda definitely knows this. I am not always the most optimistic person on the on this planet. Um, but if we at least can just take a step back to realize, you know what, shit can be hitting the fan. I'm sorry, I'm probably not allowed to. Anyway,
No, you're fine.
um, okay, so shit can hit the fan.
Just don't show
Um,
titties.
okay, gotcha. I will promise that won't happen. Um, but if you can take a step back and realize, yes, things might be happening, this might be going on, that might be going on, but you know what? Things could always be worse. I know nobody wants to hear that, but if we
Mhm.
put that in our mind and say, what can I acknowledge in my day that was actually a good thing? So,
Mhm.
like that, like Brittany just said, manifest that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, there's science behind that. There's so many different books. Obviously some it's harder than others, and I'm a strong proponent of I don't align with toxic positivity where, like, oh, everything's great, let's not talk about problems. Let's
Yeah,
just
no.
sunshine and rainbows. Um, we do need to honor our feelings. Like, I don't like the toxic positivity, but there is scientific fact that when you change your brain and like there's I literally this is what I teach to my kids all the time, like when I work with is like I could probably pull a worksheet out that I give to them because I do CBT. um you look at your thought processes. We have, I call them, they're called thinking traps for them, but they're cognitive distortions. And this is our, we all do them. We all have cognitive distortions. Mine is catastrophizing. Everything is way worse than I think it is. My mom used
Me
to call
too.
that making a mountain out of the molehill.
Yep.
Um, but we all do them. And so recognizing one, and then having helper thoughts, changing the thought,
Yeah.
examine the evidence of it, and then when you do that, you rewire your brain. Having a gratitude practice is that's my biggest advice I give to people is doing a gratitude practice every day, like what you're saying. My Alexa
Yeah.
actually wakes me up at 6 a.m. every morning that says, "Do a gratitude practice." Half the time I want to throw her across the room, but
But no, I mean, it's a good point because, and for me, when I first started in, doing stuff with metaphysics and, learning my gifts and such, one of the key things that everybody's talking about is you got to learn a mantra. You got to go and get yourself a mantra. You got to go and say this and da, 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 da. Stacey,
why did
I
you
will be
just say
honest.
that in a Jersey accent?
I don't know. I don't know where the accent came out of. I just had to get a point across. There's my side
It
character.
sounded like Fran from what was it? The nanny.
Oh, geez. There you go. There's some content for everybody. But I
Yeah.
when I first did this, I still sometimes I don't like mantras. I don't like the saying because it reminds me of the here's the foo-foo, the rainbows, the unicorns, everything is fine, everything is great. No, not everything is always great,
Hmm.
but it can still be okay. And so one of the
Absolutely.
things,
Like
and
Jelly
I was
Roll.
going to
I've been
bring up,
listening to that song. Yeah.
Brittany just talking about affirmations. I
Hmm.
The difference between affirmations and mantras are quick little statements.
Hmm.
Affirmations are almost in a way of having the law of manifestation in your life. It's taking that a little step further.
Yeah.
And to me, there are certain ones that really do work. And I think it goes like it follows a mantra to me feels superficial, where an affirmation feels, a little, more in
Yeah.
depth.
Like I wake up in the
And
morning and look in the mirror like I'm a badass bitch and I'm going to kick ass today.
sure,
That's
there you go.
that's an affirmation. That's not a mantra.
Yeah. So
But
it's
yeah.
basically it's potato potato, but at the end of the day, it's your intention that you're putting out of what
Mhm.
you're wanting to get back. And that's attraction. But then it's taken a step further where you're living your life as though you already have it. And that's where the law of manifestation comes in. This is something that Jeremy Leonard in his class that I
Mhm.
took, he really emphasized on is living as though you
Mhm.
already have it. So it's really great.
Absolutely. I want to honor what Jen's saying right now, and you're right. Things could be worse, but fuck that. I'm going to say because when you're in it,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to argue or whatever, but when you're in it and you're down there and like I'm going to be completely. I'm going to use the word vulnerability right now, complete because that takes. This is how we heal. Is being vulnerable.
Yeah.
When I was sitting in the parking lot of the emergency room, thinking if I was going to go into crisis or not this past weekend or early in the week, I didn't there I couldn't see things. I couldn't see this thought. I wasn't there where I could be, oh, things could be worse. For me, I was at my worst. I was at rock bottom. So yes, there's always things can be worse. And but sometimes when we focus on that, we're also that's not very strength based. We're not focused like, oh yeah, things could be worse,
Right.
like that's where we need to flip it with that gratitude practice and flipping the brain and recognizing that law of manifestation, the words no
Yeah.
or what is it, not no, and like our brain doesn't recognize I will not, I will not be upset or I will not something. All it
Yeah.
hears is I will. It doesn't
Yeah.
recognize the not part. So, but yeah, Jen, I feel you. I see you. Sometimes things feel like they are at the worst that it could possibly get. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you'll eventually you come out of it and you realize, okay, it could have got worse. But I just wanted to honor that
Yeah.
real quick. Sorry.
No, and you make a good point. When you're in the heat of the different things, it makes it very tricky, of course, because, you know, we're going through this moment, we're going through this situation, and it's like we have these blinders on, and it's because we're in, like you said, crisis mode.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think it's just really important that we all need to realize that every high has a low point. Every low point has a high point, and that's a yin and yang in life.
Mm-hmm.
And so we
Mm-hmm.
just have to kind of mentally, even when we were going through, the situations with my dog last year and having to put him down and
Yeah.
this that, and the other, and all
Mm-hmm.
these various things, and like all the situations and stress with my job. It's um you have to realize that even if it's something that's so small, it's
Mm-hmm.
still a circle, it's still a cycle that's going through. So every time
It
that you're in
is.
a really bad situation or like that, let
Mm-hmm.
this little birdie that's in the back of your subconscious mind, you hanging out in a filing
Mm-hmm.
cabinet or such, say that, okay, this is that circle. Every low has a high.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to get through this to that high point, and I'll be good.
It's
When you
that
can get to
practice.
that
Like,
point,
yeah.
right,
Mm-hmm.
right, and it
Like
takes a very
if
long time.
you don't just practice gratitude when you're going through a hard time. Make it a daily thing. And even if you can wake up one morning and you can't think of anything else, be like, you know what? I'm thankful that I have running water. you know?
Oh
Um
yeah, yeah,
and that's that, and that creates that, it keeps that little thing in the back of your mind. So Jen, I want to say, and this is my exact example. She was down yesterday, but then she heard her coworker say her son's birth and he had passed, like, so that was something like, oh wow, it can be worse, she's having a worse day than me. But we have to get there on our own. I think if people tell us like it could be worse, I want to smack you in your face. No,
yeah.
but not you generally, but I want to smack
No,
whatever
I
who says
understand.
that to me.
Yeah,
But we do come around to it and do eventually realize that.
yeah.
Brittany's saying everybody's worst is different. Yeah, it is. Oh, look, Ashley's saying hi, beautiful. She's talking to you, John.
No, no, no. Nah, 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 nah.
Ashley, you have not seen him with his hair down. Amanda, come on now. Tell him to take his hair.
Oh boy. Oh boy. No,
But
I
Brittany
was
says,
funny.
isn't that isn't that what magic is? Wanting something so much, letting yourself just have it. Yes, I just paraphrased Halloween Town, but it's true. That's the power of manifestation. Obviously witches call it magic, but it's that power of intention. That's why, my candles are intention candles. Like, the
Yeah,
intention is to practice love and acceptance and worth. And it's all about the intention that we put out there. And that manifested, like, you have to want it and you have to keep pushing forward.
yep. Good point.
So that
So,
was our mental health spiel.
yeah. No, I think that it's good because not a lot of people talk about that, sort of thing at an open forum. So it's always good. Let your beautiful locks fly. Oh boy. No, because it is it's a pain in the butt to put back up because of my glasses and everything else. And
And it's very thick. You have very thick hair.
I do,
Hmm.
I do.
So, but it's
But
beautiful. This is beautiful. I'm going to find a picture.
oh god, no,
um, he's like,
just
no, I'll
do
just
it.
take it down. Hold on. But I mean, I think John, you and I both suffer from a lot of that. We don't want to shine our light. Look at that. Look how I'm so jealous of his hair. Right? Look at that. Like,
That's funny.
oh, and
But
then
all right.
Jen, I feel like if we had actual conversation instead of, yeah, raging over the subject, you put it up in like 5 seconds. It is. Your hair is beautiful. I always talk about that. We need to do like a photo shoot with you, with your hair down, and get you some new.
Listen, I have total like side topic, but um I keep joking around and asking Amanda, so hey, how upset would you be if I actually cut my hair? And she looks at me and she looks back down and she's like, it's your hair. I will support whatever you want to do with your hair. Just don't shave it all off.
Yeah, I mean, it's your hair. You do what you want with it. But I can understand Amanda's point of view.
You want to know the kicker
Like,
is
where
she gets so mad because literally I just shampoo it. Like I will be honest, I abused the crap out of my hair.
Jen
I
Jacob
really
says, do
do.
slow mo hair flops like in the movies. We could do a
Oh my
photo
god.
shoot like that. My daughter has a camera. She's like a photographer. We could we could actually fill it with like paint. And you were seeing those paint ones, like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
oh,
That's
and Danielle
funny.
says maybe it's Maybelline.
That's funny.
And then she literally talks to his hairdresser about his hair. Her
Yes.
hairdresser about
Yeah.
your hair.
So my work, the comic shop,
Like, hair
is
gold.
it's right next to the hair salon that we go to. And like obviously, they're a small mom and pop shop just like the shop.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'll be like, so what did they say about my hair this time? Because I'm sure. That's funny.
Coming out of the water, the flipping out. Now everybody's talking about your hair.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Her calling me out, but no,
You got to
it's
get him the
funny.
good products. He's got to have like the good products and put in there, and yeah, stuff like that.
No, the
What?
whole
So
the
why
whole
did you
point
grow your
of
hair long?
so it started in 2020, and it was a bet between my sister and I on
Okay.
I could not let my hair grow out long enough until my niece was born. So I started growing my hair out in February of 2020. My niece was born in September of 2020. And so I let my hair grow, and I will just say I am still winning the competition 5 years later.
It's all about I didn't take you as a competitive guy. You're a competitive guy, aren't you?
I, I like a challenge. I like a
Okay.
challenge.
I guess
I'm waiting
certain
for a
people
man.
too. Like,
Oh boy, it'll be the fun.
I'll be the next Fabio.
That's funny. I can't. But
I
no,
love it.
I
From now on, you were John Covio.
no. At work, they call me Fabiali.
Okay, so this resonates with you.
Yeah, it works. It fits. It works. But no. I think that and he moves his hair back and forth. Oh, geez, you can tell we're tired.
And I'm like, we went from mental health to everybody talking about your hair.
My hair. That's funny. No,
You said you
we
were a go with the flow guy. So.
I know. Really go with the flow. Um, we had so the other podcast that I normally do every
Mhm.
other Thursday is Crossroads.
I
That's
know, and I feel
shown.
bad because like Thursday's the only night that I can do it. Please tell
That's
her this
okay.
is not a personal vendetta. Like
No, she knows that. No, it's all good.
just
But
being
we
off
so we
Friday.
have the other show, Crossroads, and we just recently had Vince Keelan on,
Hmm.
and I I took my hair down in I don't know, it was the middle of the show or towards the end of the show. And he was like, John, you need to keep your hair up because if you're turned around, like you will not be. I'm like, oh, okay, that's funny. So believing is deceiving. But no, but it
Yeah,
was
I
funny.
guess Danielle Lynn is saying good night, beautiful humans. I know she's got to get up early for work in the morning. I love you, Danielle. Stay warm up there in New Hampshire, and we can't wait for you to come back.
That'd be fun.
Um,
So
yeah, so hair.
um moving on. This is not a really good leeway
Mhm.
into a new thing, but so what is your next event other than going to Sammy Miller Mansion? What else do you have going on?
I don't have much. Hold on, I'm looking at the calendar right now. And I'm trying to figure out what is my next event. Um, this weekend, this Sunday, I will be in Phoenixville. At the
Ooh, are
punk
you
rock
doing
flea
the
market.
Yep. Yep.
You
I've
should
heard a
come
lot of good
down if you're
things.
doing like exploring and doing like a date weekend or whatever. I don't know what you guys are doing, but you should come down. I don't know how far Phoenixville is from you, but it's right outside of
I
Penhurst.
mean, yeah, it's about like a 3-ish hour drive.
Yeah, it's only an hour and a half for me.
Lucky.
But that's a fun event. I love it. It's loud. I'm punk rock. Like I grew up like that's always been punk rock, and it's a way of life.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, "Oh, it's anarchy and stuff like that," but that's actually a very accepting like um philosophy on life, and that's where kind of like that's why I love the punk rock, but it's also very who I am. Like we're going to be emotionally vulnerable. Our hearts are here. We're going to freaking stab them and let them bleed in front of you. Uh, but no, I mean it's a very open, very vulnerable people, but a very emotional type of culture. And so
Yeah.
it's always kind of been, I'm very resonated with that. So I'm always been punk rock. So I love to be able to do the punk rock flea market. It's very It's very profitable. You should try to get in sometime, but literally it books up in 8 minutes. So it's
I'm not
always the
surprised.
first. Yeah, it's always like the first. Like you follow their Facebook page, you'll see like, and now they're moving more to Instagram. You'll see that he'll make a post on like the second or third day of the month, and then he says now open for applications. You literally have to stop what you're doing right then and email, and then get it. But he doesn't do repeat vendors because I think there's only room for like 10 people. Um, so definitely he looks out for the vendors, and it's fun. Loud music, lots of mohawks, lots of Doc Martens, lots of graffiti.
So it works out, you're going from a Comic-Con right to there. It works.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Like the
That's
bathroom
awesome.
is literally filled with like people's like stickers and writings on the wall. Like there's a Sharpie in the bathroom you can just write on the wall. Like yeah, it's very cool.
That's fun. So how
Um,
often do they have the flea market there?
it's the last Sunday of every month.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
That'll be fun.
so that would be the 23rd this time. So
Awesome.
I would look if you want to do it to look in like first or second of March. I would say probably on this March 2nd is when he would announce it. Usually
Yeah.
announces it like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well,
So
and see, we if it's the last Sunday of March, we won't be able to do it
no, we will not. We
because
won't.
we will be at the Awake Fair.
That's right. But
Yes.
you could do other ones. But yes, that is, I
Oh,
think that, because I'll be at the Hoover House on the 15th, but that is not an event. That is a birthday party.
yeah.
Um, the 22nd, I'm having a party for my daughter for her birthday. She's turning 15.
Aw.
You are welcome to come to that.
Aw.
Um, and then, so yeah, I guess after the Phoenix film, my next big one is the 29th. There's
Yeah. I'm
something in
looking.
the works for March 1st, but it's not confirmed yet. So I can't talk about
Gotcha.
it.
Gotcha. No, I'm really looking forward to the Awake Fair. That event
Mhm.
is, I think I talked about it the last time I was on,
First
but
time. I'm
out of
very excited to be in there.
oh, it's your first time being there?
Mhm. Yeah.
It is
I
the
didn't get
energy
in last
inside of
year. It was
there.
too late.
The energy is so nice in there.
Mhm.
Um, of course, it's put on by Melody Brook, the tattooed medium.
Tattooed
So shout
medium.
out to her.
Mhm.
Um, you can actually follow her, tattooed medium MB on Facebook. Go over and follow her. Tell her that we sent you.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Um, there you go.
I'm gonna put it in
And
the comments. I'm
so
gonna put it in the comments.
there you go. She has done this event for a couple years, and out of all of the years that she has done this event, there is only one that I have not been able to attend. It's in Martinsburg, West Virginia, and it's right off of 81. I know I hate 81 traffic, but you can get through it in order to go and visit the event.
Yeah.
It's free to get in, and there are
Oh, I
so
didn't book
many
my hotel
different.
yet.
I didn't either. You can actually book right
Okay.
there at the hotel. The
Okay.
hotel is
Okay.
so clean. It is very nice.
Okay. So we don't
The
have to like, it's not like the bash where you have to book way ahead of time.
No, I would suggest to
Okay.
probably I might actually do that tomorrow, but I would
Okay. Just
suggest,
book
to
two
book.
hotels and put one in my name.
There you go.
I'm just kidding.
Um, that event is it's the energy is really good. Again, it's free admission to get in. A
Mhm.
lot of psychics, a
I
lot of
love that.
mediums, a lot of tarot readers, Reiki
Mhm.
practitioners will be there, metaphysical shops. You'll have, I don't know if my mom is going to be doing numerology readings, but she might be. She is actually
There
introducing
she
a
is. I was like,
new.
"Where's mom?" And there she is.
The bar has awesome Midori sours. Her and I always get the bartender there. She's so sweet. Um, we will go and get one mixed drink before, like the night before.
Mhm.
So even if we like we're out and about and it's like 9 o'clock at night, we'll still go down there and get a drink really quick and then come back. It's like a tradition.
Okay.
She'll get a
I'll
Midori
meet you there.
sour and then I'll just get a Malibu Bay Breeze. I'm not a big drinker. We both really are, but it's just a way to
Yeah.
unwind. But yeah, I mean, if you're
I
able to
don't
do
do
it and you're in the
cocktails usually
area,
much. Yeah.
um, I strongly recommend, coming out to the event. A lot of the different
Yes.
readers are there. Um, I
I wonder if I could
know.
actually tag the event in here.
Let me see.
There's an
Might
event
be able
page,
to.
right?
Yes. So wait. Let me double check. That's the right one. I think it's that one. There you go.
You got it?
With mom, Midori sours are delicious. Yes. Yes,
Yes.
they are. So there you go.
I
There
like
is
that.
the
Celebrating life and the afterlife.
yep. You can go and click interested or going, and then you can come there. I think it's the first 30 or the first 50 people that go there. They or for 30 or 50 groups of people will get a gift bag. So all of the
Hmm.
vendors will go and throw in a little goodie bag or something
Yeah.
inside of there for everybody
Hmm.
to have the first however many people, and you literally can go around. It's an all day event. I think it goes from 10 to 4 or 10 to 5.
I think 10 to
Um,
5, maybe.
okay.
Uh,
And it's,
Hold on.
I guess I can just pull it up right now.
10 to 4. 10 to 4. Yes.
Okay. But no, it's such a really good event. The energy is amazing. It is one of my favorite
Hmm.
metaphysical events I've ever been to. I will also be selling cookies. So, um,
Yay.
Melody was this event was actually one of the ones where I first baked and took cookies there. It was last year. I did oh gosh, what did I do? Snickerdoodles, peanut butter cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and oh, ha, the special. I took Cadbury cream eggs, like the mini
Seriously.
ones, and I crushed them up,
Oh,
and I did that as the chocolate chips for one. So that was like the Easter one.
you do you remember when we did the Moundsville last year and
Yeah,
they had the cupcake person with the alcohol in it? Did you see those?
vaguely. I vaguely remember.
We should do cookies with alcohol.
Well, don't even get me started. Like I considered reaching out to Sean and asking if he'd want me to do cookies, but I know some events are weird about, you know,
Hmm.
food and stuff, even though it's prepackaged and everything.
Oh no, West
Yeah,
Virginia, it doesn't matter. Like there's like you prepackaged is fine. The cottage law in West Virginia is very loose and very lax. Like it's not like you're in Pennsylvania.
okay,
So yeah. Um,
gotcha. So maybe I mean, I'll kick it
mhm,
around. I wasn't planning on it,
mhm.
but you can't go wrong. Again, Amanda, if you're still watching, she'll probably talk about the snickerdoodles. Those are her favorite.
That's what I had. The snickerdoodles, they were my favorite
Yeah,
too. Yeah.
I remember
Hmm.
I gave Pam and Steve both a container of cookies, and Pam immediately like opened
Hmm.
up the snickerdoodles and she took a bite. As she was walking back to the bar, she stopped and she turned around and
Hmm.
looked at me. She's like, "These are really good." And I'm like, "Well, thank you."
They were really good, really good. So speaking on that, we were talking about the Moundsville. Is
Yeah.
that your next event after the Wake Fair?
Yes. So
Mine,
I'm
mine as well.
majorly cutting it back to just one event a month, and
Me
I'm
too.
excited. I should be there for the event. I know they just started announcing some workshops and special guests that are going to be there, which are really
Hmm.
fun. So that'll
Did
be,
he reach out to you?
really
Like I
fun.
reached out to him over the weekend or a couple of days ago, maybe last night. I don't know. Um, but they now have room for workshops. Are you going to do a workshop? Did he talk to you about workshops?
He did not yet. So I think, I mean,
Okay.
it was something that um, I I was actually going to reach out and ask about. Um, I openly welcome cupcake, cookies, and chocolate to all my
And
cons.
unfortunately, Jen is having a con, which is if we're still on Jen, like if we're doing the sponsorship next month, um, sh like she's doing a con the same weekend we are going to be in Moundsville. She's doing the Firelands Paracon.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Which Jen,
Okay.
please keep me in mind for next year. I'm doing Moundsville because obviously I don't know about you. I know we've had this conversation.
Mhm.
Um, I am doing more events where I spend a lot of money going to events. So I'm doing events that are paying me or at least paying for hotel. and travel and not having to pay my table. So that's just going forward. Like, it's costing me too much money. So unless someone's going to give me something for it, I can't do an event type of thing. So some of them I will pistol, like the bash. I will gladly donate that for the causes, to pay for my table. But um, so Jen, keep me in mind. I know you booked up so quickly with speakers and stuff. So hopefully next year I can get in with that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. But yeah, I mean, Moundsville, I think it'd be really cool to we could do the workshop we did at Selma. That is a possibility. We did a chakra and opening up your psychic intuition.
Oh, awesome.
Workshop. We did that there. I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was really fun. We did the one year we did a meditation there, and that was really
Mm-hmm.
fun because afterwards there were people that came up to me and they were like, it was funny. This one lady, so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
She literally like after the event, I was walking up to the one room that I was in at Selma Mansion, and she stopped me and she's like, "Can I ask you a weird question?" I'm like, "Sure. Nothing's ever weird." And she's like, "When you did your meditation, have you ever seen like shapes or like different things that just didn't make any sense?" And I'm like, "Oh, honey, that's exactly what that is supposed to be for."
Yeah.
You are opening up, and that I said, that wouldn't surprise me if you were working more with a clairvoyant sort of psychic ability.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like,
Yeah.
"That is so cool." And so
That's.
it was nice to be able to kind
Mm-hmm.
of be that little spark for some people, even if they don't necessarily believe that they, are intuitive or that they really want to dive deeper
Yeah.
into their, gifts. I think that it's, you know, really fun to see the spark that we both once had when we first started developing our abilities a
Oh,
little more.
right.
So
It kind of
it's
it
just
kind of
so
ignites it
cool.
back in us. Does that do for that for you? You
Yeah,
kind of get brings it
yeah.
back to you, and you're like, oh, I remember that feeling, and it kind of renews us. I liked the workshop you did in Virginia at the Paravation. Didn't you do a workshop at Paravation?
Which
No.
one was
Am I
that
looking at the
one?
wrong place? Am I at the wrong
The
place?
Strasbourg
You were
event.
talking Strasbourg event. You were talking about different clairs and the psychic, like just
Oh yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
You're
that I
right.
think ties yeah, so when you that part with the Claires, it works better. I kind of do like a talk in a way.
Mhm.
Um, when you work
Yeah,
with
that's more of
psychic
a speech.
intuition,
Yeah.
yeah, when you work with psychic intuition, you of course, as you are aware, there are different forms, and so I kind of compare them to love languages. Everybody has a specific love
Hmm.
language. Everyone usually has two primary ones, same as just declares. And when you work with the clairs, it works to better understand your own psychic information that you're getting to better to
Hmm.
read and work with whatever that is that you're experiencing. So if you're
Hmm.
seeing signs, symbols, and omens, and you're like, "Oh, this is a sign," but you see it first, that is a huge sign for clairvoyance. If you have dreams, really in-depth dreams that you'd like to see, that again ties to clairvoyance. If you hear certain songs randomly or you wake up hearing a song in your ears, that's
Hmm.
clairaudience. Like there's so many really cool methods on,
I know it
of
was
course,
so
again, as you
informative. The way
know.
you took it, I still hear the things you said in your head, and
Yeah,
because like obviously having this gift, I've never really organized it. Like when you talked when you had that talk, and I'm like, oh, okay, now yeah, I just smelled that smell. John says that could be like,
yeah. But no,
you really
seriously, a
helped me
lot
a lot listening to that. Yeah.
see that ability is clairgustance, where you smell
Hmm.
things, and that happens.
Hmm.
There was one time, I forget where it was though. It was outside and I was doing
I
like
am
I
still
was
here.
just
Just give
walking
me a minute,
along.
guys.
Oh, you're good. I
I'm
was
here.
walking along and I immediately got this smell of paint. And I'm like, I'm in the middle of the woods. Why am I smelling paint? I'm literally looking around. There's no paint. And then when I was talking with whoever about it, they said, "Oh yeah, right where you're like where you were walking, um, there used to be a building there, and the guy who lived there, he was a painter." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So whether I was just intuitively picking up on that or not, it just really depends. So Jen asks, do most people have most of the clairs or just certain ones? I have almost all of them. So what I will say in short, every single person does have every single clair. I will say that up front. The way and how I explain it is that we all have the ability to connect with energy and to read energy and to feel energy, to see energy, and so on. That is a given thing that we all humans can do. The way and how I do it is I'm sure we all have had a gut feeling, a gut instinct. Ooh,
Oh, I want to interrupt
there
you
you go.
real quick because I want you to continue talking about this, but I did not get to go to the bathroom before we started because I had to take the dog out to pee. So you
No,
finish
you're good.
talking. I will be right back if you don't mind.
Okay. Nope, that's not a problem. So, what I will basically say is it's the same thing. Like everybody has those love languages. So just to kind of go off of that I mentioned earlier, everybody has love languages. Everybody can experience those love languages, whether it's physical touch, whether it's words of affirmation, you know, uh, you know, acts of service, so on and so forth. It comes with friends, it comes with romantic partners, and so on. Um, at some points and various points, each person will want like, oh, it'd be really nice if somebody bought me this gift. It'd be really nice if somebody would, like cook me dinner or clean up or do the dishes or, you know, clean off my car from the snow or what have you. Or, to get a hug or so on. Enough examples. I compare those to the clairs because each person will experience them. It's just sometimes we have primary ones that we are more in tune with that help us better understand exactly what we're getting. So a lot of times psychics will be a little misconstrued on which one is their primary, which one is their secondary one, because they will experience different things all the time. For me, it's a smell, like I was just mentioning. Sometimes it's tasting. Usually, if it's a tasting sort of thing, it ties to a reading. But you have the smell, the tasting, the five, senses with that. But you have clairgustance, you have the tasting, you have the seeing ability, which is clairvoyance, and claircognizance. Claircognizance is a big one, like where you just like, I know this person's going to call me today, or I know this is just going to happen. I don't know why, I don't know how to explain it, but I know that's going to happen. Each person will experience little blips of these either in their daily life or every other day life, and it's just our job to basically infer to better understand that information moving forward in order to work with that energy. So do most people have most of those clairs? Yes, everybody does have those clairs. Some are just heightened more so than others. Brittany says, I think I'm clairaudient. I think, but I have no clue. I need guidance. So, what I would suggest is just to simply look up, various ways on how individuals work with their audience. Mom, if you're still watching, you can maybe give a little bit of your insight on clairaudience because I know that you are also clairaudient to kind of get some like tips or different things there. For me, I'm clairvoyance and clairsentience. Clairsentience is like empathic abilities. A lot of times I will feel it. um Whether it's physical, it's more so physical than it is emotional, but sometimes it gets me when I'm least
Mine is
expecting it.
mine is yeah. I'm a clear sentient, but and also clear gustus. Like this smells. And I have the knowing too. Like I hear the things in my mind's eye. Like I'll see and hear things in my mind's eye. I don't know which one that is.
Sorry. So the when you see things like here intuitively, that's definitely the clairvoyance. So a lot of times it's sort of the
Okay.
signs, symbols, or omens. Like plays of a movie clip in my head. Yep. A lot of times when
Mhm.
people go and they walk into locations and they are in tune with their
Mhm.
psychic ability, and they're rewatching those sort of movie clips. A lot of times, if you see psychics walking, I do this subtly, but Steve Dill's actually caught on to this because when we were at the the Strasbourg Mill for the Paramation event.
Yeah,
I like to rate a location before I go there, but I didn't get a
me too.
chance to.
Yeah.
And so when I walked into the bar, we went upstairs.
I
Um,
was there with you,
I
yeah. I remember this.
okay, I was leaning on my left arm against the wall, just
Mhm,
kind of like
mhm,
leaning there, just like hanging out. And people don't realize your left hand is your receiving hand. For me, my left hand is my receiving
mhm.
hand, my right hand is my giving hand. And
Well,
so
energetically,
sometimes,
that is correct for everybody, yeah.
yep. And so when me leaning up against the building, I was using psychometry in order to
Mhm.
read the residual energy and to also tap into the intelligent energy that's there. And Steve called me out. He's like, "Hey, are you reading the building?" And he probably won't even remember it, but it just caught me off guard because
I don't
I
remember
was
that
reading the
piece, but I
building.
do remember, yeah, I do kinda remember that piece. Yeah, 'cause I was so overwhelmed in that
Yeah.
place because I was the same way you do. I like to read a place first, like, we're doing that investigation at Booby's Brewery. I've been to Booby's a million times, but never investigated it, so I'm gonna actually go do an investigation before I have to lead one because I need to read that place and, you know, figure everything out that I need to
Mhm.
figure out. And so I was overwhelmed
Yeah.
that was a very overwhelming place.
Yeah. I've yet to be there. I know that John Nix does a really great job with running the
Mhm.
events there and trying to make sure everything goes really smoothly.
Yes, they are actually really good. Like she sent me a whole layout, maps, and all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, oh, this is so nice, so organized. Okay, so Brittany, I like to touch things too. First thing I did was take off her shoes because you feel things through your feet, Brittany, a lot. She really does because she's an earth girl like me, and that's what I do. Like I'll go out and I'll feel things through my feet. So she's in the dirt basement of the Doss house, and she took her shoes off so she could feel. I think there's video of that first experience you have down there too.
You know, that's really funny. Total side tangent.
Okay,
If you ever go into an event where I'm set up and I'm doing readings, I'm more than likely barefoot.
same here,
I am more than likely,
right?
or at least I have my shoes off.
I have to
If
take the
it's warm
shoes
out,
off. Yeah,
yeah. And Jen says I must get
I
a
wonder
look on my
what do you
face.
think that
That's
is?
gonna be fun. I think it's because you have energetic sensors through your feet as well. When you talk about reflexology and you talk about the different pressure points, that's the
Mhm.
physical part, but you also do have those sort of energy centers like that in other parts of your body, chakras, and you have chakras in
Chakras.
your
Yeah,
palms, so your hands, and
you
on the
do.
bottoms of your feet.
You don't everybody knows the 7 chakras, everybody knows
Yep.
the rainbow that comes here, but there is so many chakras throughout our body, and that's what I do in my Reiki, like, I pinpoint some of those other chakras that people don't know about.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's why a lot of us who are also feelers, clairsentients,
Mhm,
empaths, we are better in tuned with the energy and also with grounding if we are barefoot. Of course, everybody,
mm.
you just need to go and walk outside in the grass and everything will be great. See, I didn't have that Jersey grandma come out with my voice with that Fran Dresser,
Mhm. No,
but
that's something different.
but no, you know, everybody always talks about like just take your shoes off and go walk in the grass. And everybody's like, oh yeah, blah blah blah. Sometimes, for whatever it is, it works. It really does work. Now, if you go
I
outside
do
right
agree with
now,
it.
there's a
Yeah.
little bit of ice and snow, so I mean, that's on you, but still.
So, Sean is still in here. Like last night, I took the puppy out to go pee, and actually just now, I go out in my bare feet even now. Like, I don't care. It doesn't bother me like stepping in the cold ground. I'll have my jacket and my hat and everything else on, but I'm fine with my bare feet being on the ground. You're like, nope,
You
not at
sound like
all.
my mom.
I
My mom can
love
go out
being
in a t-shirt
barefoot.
and shorts and shovel snow
I
without a
can
problem.
too. I can too. Sean is like, oh, I love this.
That's
Sorry, I
insane.
need to interrupt real quick because Kathy, this is my thing. Okay. So I'm a shamanic practitioner. So I literally like, oh my God, I talk to trees. That Paravation, actually, you weren't with us when we decided to go out on this excursion to go look for the goat man or dog man or something like that. And we're driving down the road, and I think Sabrina was behind us, Beth was with us, and we were driving down the road, and I'm like, stop! Like two cars. I'm like, stop, because there was this tree I had to go talk to, and it was one tree on this side, and there was a matching tree on the other, and it was just beautiful. And so, like, talking to the trees is definitely a big thing for me. John, have you ever experienced like hearing things from the trees?
Um, I would say probably without me realizing it. I'm not as in tuned with that because when you tap into elementals and you tap into that sort of thing, it's
Mhm.
I want to say it's like it's a more in-depth way than it is with the human conscious, even if you are tapping in to spirit in order to read,
It's an ancient
spirit stuff.
knowledge.
Yeah. And so a lot of times, like
Mhm.
for me, I can tap into that, the spiritual part perfectly. And I wouldn't say perfectly, but pretty well. But then like tapping
Yeah.
into angels and that sort of thing and working with archangels, like I can do those. The elemental one I'm still kind of working on.
See, I'm more elemental. That is my thing. I work with, like, I remember as a child, like, last night on the podcast I was on, I remember as a child, like, talking to the fairies when I was young, seeing the different creatures of the forest, talking to them. And they helped, they were my therapists, they were my guides, and they still are my guides, animals as well. And so I'm able to tap into like some of these elemental energies. So I think that's where like you and I kind of we mesh well because I'll pull out the elemental side and you pull out more of the angel and spiritual side. Like, um, it's a totally different thing. I do think it's more ancient knowledge, where talking to spirits that have recently passed and the people that passed are more of like ancestral. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah. Kathy
So,
just said I'm particularly fond of the Eastern hemlock.
okay, I like the hemlock. I have a actually have right outside the why can't I remember the name of the tree right now? This is my dyslexia. But
That's okay.
we all have those certain trees. Like pine trees is one of mine. I love pine trees. Pine trees are very like tall pines. They're very
Mhm.
emotionally stable. Seriously, why are you so
It's
dramatic?
like, I want attention.
That's what it is. That's exactly. Um, so Eastern hemlock. I'd have to pull out my book. I'd like to see what that means. Let me get back to you on that one. That was not me.
That's cool. Just said I sent
Yeah,
my first
really?
element when I was 4.
Frost elemental. And you live up in the cold weather area, so I could see why you would see frost elemental. Jen, can you and I'm going to have you on the podcast. Can you give us a little like blip of like what that was for you and how that was for you? Oh, pines give you an attitude for some reason. So immediately when I see that, I'm thinking, so is there something in like undercover anger that you're not releasing that is going to make you kind of feel like irritated because there's anger that you're not releasing because pines are great for emotional stability. So if you're not able to be fully open with all of your emotions, and because some of us either show our anger very well and inappropriately, and some of us show our anger in like internally, so it comes out as like I'm just frustrated and annoyed with everything. So that's what I would say if that's the reason why pines give you attitude. That's my initial on that.
It's a good observation. So,
And
but no,
that's
I
how
think
the
that
world works.
yeah, it's cool to be able to once you tap in more with elementals because like you'll see more of like when we were out squatching when we saw the fae. It was one of my very first times seeing them.
It was really cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, all the different colors. It was really cool.
Like seriously, what is the
He wants to
matter?
share her opinion.
No,
She's like, I
she
have
knows I
more to say.
no. I have this sitting here.
Oh,
That's I have a nutty buddy sitting here, and she knows it because when she literally heard me get it out of the fridge, and that's when she started coming over.
she's like,
Sorry.
oh, what you got? What you got?
Yeah, yeah.
And
She
see,
wants
and
that.
now it's really funny and interesting. So, um, a lot, probably over 10 years ago at this point, um, my mom actually had started this new venture and she mentioned the idea to me a very long, like, of course, a very long time ago. And I was like, let's do it. And so she started her own pet treat bakery business. And it seems as though her little calling in order to bring that business back is here. And I will say it was a very successful business endeavor. So it just brought up that point. I will let her, hey, this is knocking on the door for you there, ma'am, that there's a lot of things for you to do and kind of putting out in the forum that, hey, her Bertha's Barkery should be coming back hopefully soon. It just reminded
Sorry,
me of that with the beer ready.
yeah, I muted my thing because she was making so much noise.
That's okay.
So I figured I'd mute it. She probably also wants to go to bed. This is like you can go up to the room and go to bed if you want to.
She's like, but you're not here.
I know exactly. So experienced my first encounter with fire at a very young age. That I love the fire elementals because you cannot see fire elementals because it's represented by a salamander, but you cannot really see them unless they're in that smoke or in the fire. Like they are the most elusive elementals is your fire elementals. It really is amazing. People take pictures of fire and like, what do you see? Like candles right now. Fire is one of my main elementals that I work with because that's the burning of the sage, smoke, all of that. That is all fire elemental.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, found out from my mom that they aren't real memories, or maybe at least not mine. What do you think of that one? I don't know if I'd tie that to elemental, but I think that's more like coming up with like a medium, like picking up on stories and stuff.
Yeah, I wonder if there was a lot of other things, of course, going on, like as far as like residual stuff that, if you are in tune with your own ability. Of course, when you're young, you're more in tune than you are when you're an adult. And a lot of times, like we experience different things that, you're not like, did this really happen? Or am I what's going on? And so we're kind of baffled by this. I know I've experienced it with a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
Like one instance, I can still play this dream that I had that just felt so real and it felt like a memory. And the interesting part, this is a weird thing. I had an actual bruise from this afterwards. I dreamt that I fell down the stairs, but it's like I jumped and it was like slow motion, but it didn't happen. But it like when I woke up, I felt like it happened and I don't know how to explain it. But how you what she was explaining there, it kind of makes it seem that it was, very similar in that essence. So I don't know. It's an interesting
So
observation.
Kathy resonated when I said, she said yes at the time she was divorcing a real jerk, probably had to keep a lot of emotions inside, Um, so I appreciate that. Um, Jen, I wanted to comment on hers because she said it looked like a little tree trunk with arms that were limbs and smiled through a window and then walked away. That's a dryad. You saw a dryad. Like, that's so cool. They're like my favorite elementals. They're tree spirits. They do look like um, trees with limbs and arms, and oh, I love that. It's so cool.
So Jen got to see the real Groot, and I didn't. I'm sad.
Exactly. I was hoping your geek card would come out there. I know, that's why I love Groot. Groot is like the best. Wait, I have him somewhere. Oh, he's way over there on the shelf. Um, but yes, that's what Groot is. He is a dryad.
That's
So
awesome.
they're tree spirits. This is more Celtic, and this is my Celtic druid background when it comes to elementals. So
Yep.
obviously Native Americans have a different version of things, but they're all kind of similar and different names.
If you want to ever watch a good show, that actually talks about the Celtic and or Irish elementals, have you ever seen?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's now Haunted Ireland with Chris
Mm-hmm.
Fleming. So
Yes,
in
I
a
have.
couple of the
Mm-hmm.
episodes, Chris was tapping into and working with the Fae, and it was cool because you don't ever see that on different programming, and it's nice to see them showcase that and work with that a little more, considering
Mm-hmm.
you know it's never
I
like that,
actually
but we
have that
we
show
work
on.
with that.
Okay, at least the dog just begged. You just come and steal.
Sharing is caring.
I love you. But yes, I have. I actually because I think it's on the Roku channel or like Google Live TV. There's like one of those like paranormal channels they show Haunted Ireland a lot on there.
Yeah,
So I do get to see that. Yeah.
it's
I
cool.
think I
No,
might
if
want
you
to
ever
pay
get
more
a
attention
chance,
to it now. Yeah.
yeah, definitely check it out for sure. When
So
we were
you're
at
saying there was
Indian,
no elementals?
oh,
Oh, and she said an elemental in the tunnel.
okay,
I've heard about the elementals in the tunnels there. I was at Waverly and actually have a video of an elemental in Waverly. So yes, um, I think those places. John, what are your idea? Because I know my theory on it, and I know you don't probably explore the elementals like I do. But what is your theory on these elementals? And you'll hear these a lot in tunnels and dark places and places where there's a lot of tragedy. Tragedy. What is your theory on that?
do you want me to, well, I guess I have to look at it in various aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, from my work with demonology,
There you go.
I have
I
to
was hoping
look
you were
at
going to
it
bring that
in
in.
this essence of, is it actually an elemental, or is it a manifested entity that is trying to trick you in a way to, I don't want to say lure you in or something,
Mm-hmm.
in order to get you to interact with it, because maybe that's how it builds because it wants to do certain things, or what have
Mm-hmm.
you. I mean, I can't ignore that aspect of
Feeds
it.
off of your emotions, right? Feeds off
Yeah,
emotions.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it necessarily will 100% like attach itself to you. um
Yeah.
but if it hides in the darker parts and it goes down there and you only ever see it down there, I guess it would have to be something like, is it like the what is it, the crawler, or the
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is at some, I think it's at Trans Allegheny, there's the, I don't know if it's Trans Allegheny, but there's a location that's like that has like the crawler. or whatever it
That's
is.
the
That's
That's Waverly. Waverly
is
has
it
the
Waverly?
crawler. Yes,
Okay.
and it crawls up the
So
wall. Yeah.
you have those sort of entities, those negative sort of manifestations, and if
Mhm.
it's you see these tunnel elementals, quote unquote, in a place where there's a lot of tragedy, that's where manifested hauntings feed. Like that's exactly
Mhm.
where that develops, and I
Okay.
can't ignore that. Now, is there a possibility? I don't know. I would want to sit down and do a little more research on it, I guess. Um, to see like what does this person experience with it? How is this
Mhm.
other person experiencing with, that? What are they
Yeah.
seeing? What are they feeling? And, kind of, I don't know. It's weird. It's a whole different, avenue I think that needs to be studied for
Yeah.
sure.
I do. I think so. And maybe we should go off camera for this one because with your experience and expertise in the demonology side and mine and the elemental side, we might be able to figure some things out. Because as you're talking about that, like, obviously you're like, is it like, okay, so my first thoughts are these elementals, like, are they the same as demons? Like, and I'm just calling them different in certain
Right,
aspects.
right, right,
And
right,
are
right.
they like these lower level demons that don't have strength to possess people? At least not yet. But they hide in these dark corners and they hide in these places to feed off of these energies. And can they be both? Can they be an elemental and a demon? Like, isn't to me like there's a
See, and that
crossover.
that's my thing. I
Hmm.
personally, now I'm not a demonologist. I am not, credited with that. I just
Jen, I'm going to
from,
answer that question for you, but let me finish our conversation.
um, working with Jeremy on a couple cases and him kind of explaining a lot to me, various aspects of it. I think that, and there's a reason why I don't. It's very rare that you do have demons. I will be
Hmm.
1000% honest with that. I think a lot of times when people experience a negative entity or a negative thing,
Hmm.
um, everybody immediately jumps to that because it's the first thing that they know. And it's what you see in movies, it's what you see in this and the other. That I think that when you open yourself up to that sort of thing, depending on the environment, depending on the location, an entity, okay, to be blunt, a demon is not going to linger at a location. A demon's mission is to get the soul of a human. that's
Yeah.
that's the sole purpose,
Okay.
if you will.
Hmm.
And so a lot of times when you have these negative energies that are inside of a location, is it possible? I'm very sure that there obviously that can happen, but I think there's a lot more to it when it comes to the humane aspect of it. Hi, Brooke.
Hmm.
Um, where we have to take into account that our energy that we put out, good and bad, can develop almost like it's own tumor in a way. And it could be a benign
Yeah.
tumor, which is a good one, or it could be a cancerous tumor, which is a bad one.
Yeah.
If it's a cancerous
Yeah.
one, it's going to continue to grow and it's going to continue to fester. And it needs
Oh,
to
I love that.
feed in order to
Yeah.
grow. So that's kind of my take on it. Again, it's a
Hmm.
whole different side of things that we'd have to, you know, dive into. So I guess like what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
that observation?
It's very similar. I just, like I said, I have different names. Like if you walk into Walmart and grocery stores where large crowds of people are at, there are these elementals, so to speak, in the corners of these places, feeding off these emotions of people. And that's why, like, you go to Walmart versus Target, there's different energies, stuff like that. So, but obviously, I don't know how long you stayed on the podcast last night. Like, I had a poltergeist type activity happen here. Like, I'm literally sitting at this table and it was just like it is now, and my shell comes flying off. I'm going through a very emotional time. I have a teenage daughter and I'm going through menopause, perimenopausal. So our emotions are flying around. So we're having poltergeist activity, which to me is an elemental. I have a book I think I'm going to send to you that I think you should read that really explains these elementals really well. It's actually an author that was at the Hanover Paracon. Um, but we create, it's almost like the energy lingers there. You have this
Mhm.
dark energy and light energy, so it lingers there. And then as we start feeding and feeding and feeding, going back, like that's take it to how we do our brain with that gratitude. Now we're going to tie it back. That gratitude practice, if we feed positive and light to our brain, we give out more positive light. But we feed with negative thoughts and negative emotions, it goes into the negative. So I feel like we're made of energy. These pockets of energy throughout the world, like residual type of, it's like stick there. But
Mhm.
then if you keep feeding it and you keep feeding it, and like it stays in the Walmart and people keep feeding it and keep coming in there, it gets bigger and bigger, and eventually can take on a mind of its own. um
Yep.
and I think it just came up with a whole book that I might want to write. But it comes up with a mind of its own, and then becomes something, which we might call a demon. um
Right.
you
Right.
know, I'm
It's
born
almost like
Catholic, so yeah.
it's like if you think about like when somebody compliments you and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like you're so great at the skill," whether it's playing the piano or whatever, you can insert whatever
Hmm.
skill here. You love those comments. Deep down inside, like we
Hmm.
can be humble as much as we want to be, but that's like
We
in our
love it. We
soul,
love to hear our
it
soft
makes us
words.
feel really
Yeah,
good. So if
it
there's a
does.
negative, if there's something that's
Oh,
there
great way
that's
to be
trying
vulnerable,
to,
John.
right, if there's something that is there trying to not do total harm, but to just be like
Hmm.
a mischievous sort of thing, and they are like, "Oh my gosh, like, oh, it'd be really cool to be this." And if people are comparing it to a different type of entity, they might be like, "Oh, I'm gonna feed into this a little bit." Okay.
Exactly.
So, it's those sorts of things where we have to just pay attention to it.
And
Kathy
I
says
think, yeah.
um, traditional demons are the very old lesser gods. Some cause trouble, some are actually helpful, which is the kind of, a
Hmm.
good point. Um, yeah,
But are
it's
they able to, like, these lesser gods and these the older demons, and are they able to, like, magically, or okay, so for instance, like Gettysburg, there's hollowed ground. Like it's a lot
yeah,
of, like, in these areas that have a lot of grief and a lot of tragedy, I
mhm,
feel like creates its own type of energy. And can these demons
yep.
come in and use that to for their own
I can
purposes?
I can see that. I think that's why there are a lot of times if there's a higher pace energy or a higher vibration, residual hauntings or,
Hmm.
different things, treat it like potential and kinetic energy to where, sometimes they're moving, sometimes it has the ability to move, but it won't move until it's touched. That I think a lot of times, if there are individuals who go there, um, if they're a little more sensitive to those abilities, you have that perfect storm of a potential of
Hmm.
opening or carrying something home. So it's why you talk about like people who get attachments and people who have this sort of thing. Sometimes,
Yep.
obviously, attachments aren't always a demon. Um, nine
No,
times out of
they're not.
ten, they're not
Sometimes they're.
demons. They're residual things, or sometimes just
Hmm.
various. I mean, obviously, being a Reiki practitioner, you know
Hmm.
what that's like when it comes to
They're
attachments. But
energetic pockets of stuff that, like, you take home. It's something you've
yeah,
resonated with. Like, if you experience the same trauma or tragedy that the person had died, I feel like you can,
mhm,
again, take on some of that and bring that home with you, and it kind of resonates with what you're already feeling inside.
right. And I think a good point. I share a lot of my way of understanding and kind of empathizing with people is sharing stories. But this one time, and I actually, this is the one show that I did Hauntings Unknown. We did an episode at the Elvira Bunkers, which was it's about like, I don't know, half an hour away from where I live. Well, probably 40 minutes now.
Hmm.
And long story short, the my now ex, she got an attachment from the location, and it was because she took this one rock that she found in one of the bunkers, and she took it home. Somebody said to take it home,
Hmm.
And so she took it home, and this shit started hitting the fan. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
the only like how she was explaining it, and this, of course, was, oh my God, close to 10 years ago, if not over 10 years ago. Maybe not, maybe not, maybe about 8 to 9 years ago. Um, so I asked her, I'm like, did you take anything home? Because that's just how, like, I kept feeling that. Did you take
Mm-hmm.
anything home? And she said no and no and no and no. And then I forget where we were going. I grabbed her coat, and this piece of the stone fell out of the pocket. And I'm like, where's the stone from? And she eventually said that she took the one rock from the one bunker. And so
Mm-hmm.
we went back to Elvira because she started getting stuff
Mm-hmm.
like not necessarily like totally negative, like whatever bad things happening, but uh, more experiences in the home, more activity. And when we went back to the place, she's like, I'm just going to tell you, it's not going to be in the bunker. We're not taking it back to the bunker. And I'm like, what do you mean? Put it back where the hell you found it.
Yeah.
And so she's like, go to the second cemetery. Now there are 3 cemeteries at this one road. There are 3 cemeteries on this
Mm-hmm.
road. And she's like, go to the second one. I'm like, okay, why? And she's like, just do it. So we go around, we eventually drive there. And I remember filming this. And we were walking along the headstones, and she stopped and she was like, here. I'm like, what? She's like, this is his. And
What?
the stone that was in the bunker fit perfectly on a chip from the headstone.
Oh
And
no!
the guy's name was, I think it was
I
Will.
have
I want to think his name
chills
was
throughout my
Liam.
whole body. Oh.
Literally, it fit perfectly. And I'm like, how in the hell did you
Mm.
know that this stone that you found in a bunker that was, now, mind you, this bunker, I even get chills now thinking
How
about it
far
too.
away?
It's easily about like 3/4 of a mile away,
What?
inside of a bunker. That it was like
Mm.
okay, so the bunkers basically some of them are
Did
open.
someone take
Um,
part of it? And
I
you know,
don't
did it
know.
fall off and someone took it back with them and they were holding on to it as a
I
keepsake?
have no clue. I have no
Oh.
clue. But this stone, Stacy, it fit perfectly on the headstone, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just really, really, really bizarre. But the point of why I share this is that, like, when you are going to different locations, you can bring stuff home, an attachment. If you
Mm-hmm.
bring physical objects from the location home,
Yep.
that is another thing that can happen. If you do that, just be aware of what you're doing and be aware of what you can be opening
Mm-hmm.
yourself up to. Um, but I don't know what exactly compelled to share
You
that
just kind of
entire
opened my
story.
eyes. I think there's a reason because I'm going to tell you something here in a second. Actually, I got two stories that kind of resonate with that. But I think the first one I'm saying there is a piece of Devil's Den rock on my front porch,
Huh.
and I did not bring it home. I didn't want it in the house. It's the reason why it's on the front porch. I said it's not coming in the house. Um, I think it's going to go back there soon, and I think that's where it needs to go because there's been a lot of like things that have been happening since it's been here. Um, uh, Somebody in my household, I'm not going to name names, I'm not calling anybody else out, brought it home because there was a legend like if you take a rock from Devil's Den and you bring it to home and you put it out in front of the moonlight, it'll bleed. Full moon, it'll bleed. It did not bleed in the full moon, but it's still sitting there. And like none of the squirrels have touched it, nothing. It's still sitting in the exact same spot that I put it there. It's very weird. And I keep actually recently with some of the stuff I've been going through the past couple of days, um, every time I take Raven out, it just draws my attention, draws my attention. So now that you've told that story, I'm like, I think I need to go to Devil's Den and take that rock back.
Um, if when you do that, I strongly
Mhm.
suggest for you whoever took it, if they could write a note, just a quick apology note. And then I think that you should do a small offering, whether it's
Yes,
tobacco
I will do
or
an offering when I
something,
yes.
both elemental and spiritual. I don't know what's telling me this, so
This time of year, it would be
just
honey
take
and
it
milk.
apart.
So,
There you go.
Mhm.
So for what it's
Yeah.
worth, I don't know where I'm getting that from, but that's what I would recommend.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that.
And cut the ties, because there are ties still
Okay.
to
So you're
people.
feeling it too. Okay.
Yeah. Now
Yeah.
I don't
We
necessarily
can
know
talk
if it's like
more off camera.
I don't know if it's necessarily something that's tied to the home itself or what's going on.
Mhm.
I think it's just it feels like there's
I
a
wonder if that's something what was
superhero.
peeking in my window because the rock is outside and I haven't let it cross the threshold of my house. So maybe
It's
it does
possible.
wander outside. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, so Kathy
So
said here, when I was at Penhurst, we were told that they got reports of psychics, uh, that there was an entity throwing control over the bound spirits there. I will be
yeah.
honest, that is definitely in the oh Lord, you can tell I'm tired. What building is that? It's not Quaker. Is it the
Mayflower.
Mayflower where the
Yeah.
museum
I got
is?
like this. His name is King.
In the basement. I remember
Mm-hmm.
walking
His
down
name is
there
King. Yeah.
and I
They don't believe
I
he's a real spirit. They believe he's a created one and controls
yes,
all of the like he
he
bounds the spirits
definitely
in.
he is not
Mhm.
human.
Yeah, not human.
I
No.
remember I walked down, and when you walk down the stairs, it's to the right. So when you
Mm-hmm.
go down there, and then there's I think two, three. You're saying three. So I think there's a closet, which is like a boiler, and then there's another archway that's there. And I walked into there, and it goes towards the one back left corner. And nobody was back there, and I immediately started feeling sick. And Stacey, that doesn't
Yep.
happen to me very often. For me to
Is
feel
that where
sick
like the thing
from
with
it,
all the dolls? People put the dolls in.
yes, where it looks like there's like a
Yeah.
classroom on the right side.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's where I felt that, and it felt like I literally I remember stopping, and I think it was my mom and Jennifer Kennedy. We were walking
You know
down
what's
there.
really funny? I hate to interrupt you, but this picture right here, because I had to turn my camera off for a second because of the dog. But
Okay,
that is from Devil's Den. That is from the day the Rock came home.
I don't
Anyway,
see
go
it.
ahead.
Are you going to show a picture?
Oh, you like my picture that when I pause my camera, do you see a picture?
Oh, of you and Gary.
Yes, that is from
Okay,
Devil's Den, and that's from the day the Rock came home.
okay, okay. That makes sense then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, that's what I feel like when I went down into that building, and since then, I had said, I respect, this space. This space is definitely yours. I will not, press on to it. First off, because I obviously did not want to puke, and then number two, I didn't want to open myself
Yeah.
up to any sort of attachments. So
Exactly. I went into Mayflower. I've never investigated Penhurst because I don't feel like I really can personally because
yeah,
I'm very connected to some of the souls there. But I just walked into the tour at Mayflower. I went down the tunnels and went into that room, and I literally was like this. And Jim Houston helped me. Like he's like his name is King. He's there, um, and I didn't feel like he was human. I did not feel like I felt like he was like a very controlling um, entity that kind of keeps everything in line and in check,
yeah,
type of thing.
yeah. That
So I
makes
want to
perfect
comment my
sense.
other story about bringing things home. And I'm glad you said this, Jen, about the volcanoes in Hawaii. So I work in home-based services. I'm a therapist and I work in home-based services. A few years ago, I was actually doing family-based therapy. So family-based therapy is the highest level of service that you can have in Pennsylvania before a child is placed outside of the home. So I'm in houses that are pretty intense. intense stuff going on. So I was in this house that lots of intense things were going on. And obviously, I'm getting paid by health insurance. So I'm doing like evidence-based practices and CBT and family-based therapy and structured family therapy. But they had brought a piece of a volcano home from Hawaii. And she was convinced that ever since, like, and I can't, it's so hard when I do this work here holistically, and then I go and I'm working for an agency that's paid by health insurance to kind of combine the two. But I didn't bring it up. She brought it up. She thought that this piece of volcanic rock was causing their distress. So I helped her. That's what we do. We help and guide people, and we helped her pack it up and send it back and write a letter and do all of that stuff. And things got better for the family after that. So yeah, there's a lot of legends with the volcanic rock. So bringing shit home from places is not okay. Unless you ask. And this is where, like, me working in more of a shamanic practitioner, like, I go to the woods and I bring shit home all the time. My whole house, I literally have on my kitchen table, there is a big tray that is my collection of my nature collections, we call it. It's my nature collection everywhere in my house. But I always ask, and I'll go places and I'll be like, can I take this home? This is really cool. Can I take this rock home? Can I take this stick home? Can I take this leaf home? And or anything that I find. And then I intuitively, they tell me yes or no. And sometimes they tell me no, but sometimes, a lot of times they tell me yes. So just ask before you bring something home. Don't ever bring anything home from Hawaii or Devil's Den, please.
You speak from personal experience.
Personal experience from Devil's Den. I think I am. I'm going to have to find a way to get to Gettysburg here shortly.
Well, if you're going to be going to the Hoover House, you can always make a pit stop there. Make a special, like...
Not until the 15th. I'll go March 15th. I'm there. So
there you go.
I don't know if I want to wait till then. I work, I have a client, not far from Gettysburg, 45 minutes. And I have a client in Littlestown, which is right south of Gettysburg. And I see them on Tuesday evenings. So I might just take it with me next Tuesday evening. I go and stop on the way home.
Make sure you carry black tourmaline in your car too. Good.
It's always on me. Actually, this is Shanghai. Which is similar to black tourmaline, but I have in my purse, I have a bag that has black tourmaline in it. So
okay.
I also want to address what Jen, I told her I would come back to this. Is there a reason why they chose me? She was talking about that dryad, why it chose her. So dryads are protective spirits. They are the most ancient spirits of the earth. They are the tree spirits. They are there to protect us, but also to kind of connect us to the meaning of life and everything like that. So I'm assuming, and I don't mean to call you out on this. You don't have to answer it. You can private message me, but I'm assuming you were probably going through trauma in your childhood and you needed protection from somebody. And that's why he came out to tell you, hey, I'm here. I'm protecting you. You don't have to mention that in the comments. If you want to message me personally, that's fine. So that's all. I wanted to address that.
I wasn't planning on doing this today.
Oh. Okay, go ahead. You're picking up on something, huh?
So, earlier tonight, I literally came home and Mom was cooking us dinner. And I'm standing in the archway that leads from the dining room into the kitchen. And you can see, again, marching band, there's it's a blessing and a curse, but you could see things out of your peripherals really well. And out of my peripherals, I see this older man walk out and stand and face me. And I look, gone. And I'm like, because at first, it looks similar to my grandfather. And I'm like, no, I don't know who this is. So he's standing right here. I don't know who this is for. So if anyone resonates with this, please, help me out because it caught me off guard earlier. Neil. Ooh, okay. So he keeps saying he's like the watchful eye. Now this is definitely a human spirit. It's not like it's anything else,
Mhm.
but he's definitely a watchful eye. Like he's the kind of like the protector. Um,
Okay.
how does it pass? Okay, so what he's showing me is that my symbol for when somebody passed away. So okay, let me back up. He showed me the symbol of somebody passed away from an illness, which is somebody laying in a hospital bed, but then he labored my breathing. So he's wanting to talk about the lung, but I don't know necessarily if he's definitely a worker with his hands. Um, I don't know if he was like a mechanic or if he like worked with stuff, but a lot of what he breathed in is what caused his issues with his lung. I don't necessarily think it was cancer, but I don't entirely know because I feel like their diagnosis was kind of unclear.
So
Again, I don't
asbestos,
know. It is
possibly
possible.
asbestos.
I'm not sure. But they're showing me like it's a darker. So that's why I was like, oh, is it like a coal miner? Like he had like a cough, but I don't know for sure like what it is. So like I don't know if it's like black lung. Like I don't know. But
Hmm.
I feel like he was definitely like a mechanic sort of person. He kind of had what he's showing me is like he kind of like a hunchback in a way, where like I don't know if he had some sort of issue with his spine, to where like he was kind of hunkered forward. His hair, it was shorter, lighter colored hair, more so like around here and to get a little bit up here, but it was kind of like messy in a way, but like barely there, like little like frillies, if you will. Um,
Hmm.
but he keeps wanting to um I don't know who this is. He's talking my daughter, he keeps saying my daughter. um I don't know. I will say he more than likely was not a believer in the afterlife and to the paranormal or anything like that.
Okay.
Because he's not necessarily like he's like I'm trying to ask him questions and he's like I don't know. Like I would say he's getting
Does
frustrated,
he
but
have a
it's like
hat on? Does he have a hat
no.
on?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that he didn't wear a hat. Now, as far as like what he's wearing, um, I want to say he has like a t-shirt on and he's wearing like a little jacket. But then he's wearing like baggier, lighter colored pants. Um,
Okay.
I don't know who this is. I don't know if he is tied to anyone potentially watching tonight. But he's um this
Jen's asking, is it a buzz cut?
almost, yeah.
Hmm.
Jen, do you have a son?
I think this is for Jen.
Um, Jen, do you know if Jen has a son?
I don't.
Because
Yes. Yes. He does.
he's
She
talking.
does.
Um,
Yes. We've talked about your son, Jen. Yes. I believe. Hmm. This is
okay,
Jen. That's yeah. Yeah.
so
That's
what
right.
I
Because
will
when we
say,
did our call, Jen, your son came in the video. Yes.
um, now is he like I want to say like 12? I'm not good with numbers, but like younger, but not necessarily
You're fucking amazing.
teens, but not super super young. Um, but he has like he's definitely I want to say he's like an explorer in a way, but he likes to like do various things and he always asking questions and always wanting to learn and always wanting to do this. Like he has like this ball of energy, but sometimes he's also afraid to show that in a way. I don't know if that makes any sense with him, but the reason why he's bringing him up is like, ooh, was he in the military? Because and or does your son have something to do with the dog tags? He's giving me dog tags. So I don't know if you have anything like that or if your son does. If
Jen, check your messages.
you do have anything like that, anything that's gifted from, like, if he was in the military at all and that was gifted to you, he's wanting to, do that for your son. I don't know where any of this is coming from. I'm not entirely sure if that makes any sense, but I hope that, can help out. I feel like he does also want to say, I do hear you. Um, he's like, I don't know if you ever feel like, like if somebody's like standing to your right, right side, almost like you feel someone there, almost like they had their hand on your shoulder in a way. If you ever feel like that, or like you're being hugged or different things like that, it's his way of saying like, hey, I don't necessarily know how this works here on the other side and how me, doing this works, but I just want you to know that I'm here. Um, and then he also did say that he is with his wife, which I don't necessarily, he's saying, I have my wife. I have my wife. So that's what he's saying to me. Um, I don't know how that obviously correlates, whether if it's, obviously like your grandmother or not, but he has her, because what he showed me is he showed me two hands holding together, which is my agreement to know that they are together on the other side. So if that ever is a question on whatever it is, as far as them being together, that they are definitely together. I feel like he passed away not very long ago. To me, I keep seeing between 3 to 5, which usually when they do that, it's talking about between 3 to 5 years. But again, I don't do well with names or numbers. They cut right to the meat and potatoes. So if that makes sense, please, I guess just let me know. You're muted.
Could you be picking? Sorry, the dog was whining again. Could you be picking up on two at once? Because I'm piggybacking a little bit, but some of it doesn't resonate, some of it does. But when you
It's
first started
possible.
talking, it felt like you were picking up on my grandfather.
Okay.
Um, but then
You
I
know
was like,
what?
no, wait, I think you're
Wait
talking
a
about Jen.
second. Remember, didn't I say something last night about there being the male?
Yeah.
So it is possible. It is possible
Okay.
that they could
Bringing
be
Jen on.
piggybacking. You're muted.
Hi, Jen.
Oh,
Could you be
I figured.
Roku channel or
Oh, yeah. You might want to turn that down. So I brought her on because I know how I feel. Like a lot of times when I do readings, it's best to kind of like talk back and forth. So if
Yeah.
you're picking up on something on her, she's saying, "Wait, it's my uncle."
so my grandpa died in 87.
Okay.
And my grandma died. My daughter's 17, so 16 years ago.
Okay.
But when you started talking about dog tags and short hair and then curly hair on top, my uncle died a year ago in December,
Okay.
and he was a
So,
Marine.
but did he have any issues potentially with his back? Because this
He had
man, how he's appearing, it's almost as if he has like, I don't want to say like, again, I don't want to say it's a hunchback, but I feel like he had difficulty standing up straight.
he had issues with his lungs. He had issues with his back. He died of a heart attack.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
what my
yeah,
grandmother died of too.
I would suggest that maybe this is him. I don't. Do you have his dog tags?
My aunt or his son does.
Okay. He's I don't know, again, I don't feel like he necessarily believed in this sort of stuff.
He
So
didn't. He always
um
told me I was full of shit.
if anybody ever doesn't believe you, just always be like, oh yeah, I know. I believe in that boo shit. It's fine.
Well, I
Um,
have a crazy story about when he passed. So, him and my aunt had been married. God, I was in high school when they started dating. So, it was like 30 years. And they were married, but they lived a quarter mile away from each other. He had went back home. And
okay.
between her house and his house sits the high school. And my daughter was there. And we were talking, like, I had drove by and I was like, well, his car's not moved. I wonder if he's okay. Maybe he's sick again. And then I saw lights on in the house, but he had already passed when I saw the lights, which was odd. And they found him laying by the front door. And we got to talking. And my daughter said before he passed, she smelled beer and beef jerky because he would make homemade deer jerky and he used to like to drink beer. And she said she was sitting at school and smelled him.
That's cool.
And I said, that's really odd because his house is close to the school. Like you can see his house from the school.
Yeah.
And then I kept smelling like cigarette smoke and beer. And my aunt worked at Menards, which is his wife. And she said somebody yelled her name and nobody was around her.
So it's almost like he knew that something was going on. And it was kind of like his last way of saying, like, hey, you know, a lot of times when I connect with spirits that have been gone for an extended period of time too, especially if somebody comes through, you know, at a sit down reading, they show me this almost like if you're sitting across from them at a table and they have a map there, like, okay, we're gonna go here and here and here and here. Whenever they draw the Z symbol to me, that is my agreement to know that they do make their rounds. So that could also be why, you know, each person felt those things. Maybe he was making his rounds of saying his, you know, his final goodbye. You know, that's a very big possibility, I guess.
I know I'll be sitting at work sometimes and I'll smell like the same smell every now and then. And it was a couple of weeks ago, my aunt saw him at her house. And my daughter said she smelled him again. So it's been about a year since he passed.
I was going to ask, are we close almost to the day? Because he showed me, I don't have any, I do. Oh, they do. I'm a visual person, so we're gonna do this. He literally is standing right there, and he went over to me and he gifted me a burning candlestick, which is my agreement to know that it's pretty much like we are very close to an anniversary of someone's passing. So I know you said about being the year almost, but
he died December 19th.
Okay.
Just a little over a year ago.
Yeah. So I think that, you know, with him coming through, I think he's still definitely coming in and checking on everybody. I feel like he was one that he was kind of like the silent person, but he would give you the shirt off of his back if you ever needed anything. That's what I feel like.
We used to argue about Democrats and Republicans, and he's a really staunch Trump supporter. So I said, who am I going to argue with about the election?
Yeah.
So maybe he's coming through because the election, like he just was confirmed, 1 month to the day.
He was probably laughing like, ha, 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 I told you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when he passed, we were at his funeral. It's over by Mansfield, Ohio, not far from OSR.
Okay.
And they have a private cemetery. And it's like 200 acres. All the kids have a house on it. There's a big pond. He went hunting. He took my oldest son hunting, fishing. And he was there when he died.
Do you think that's part of what's going on with you right now with some of your emotionality? Do you think it's like some of these spirits that are coming through? I know there's a lot of other stuff going on with your life, but
I don't know. Like, I'll just sit at work and I'll just like, I remember the one time I was sitting at work and I just like got really depressed out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out the one gal was going through a lot of stuff. I'm like, okay, I got to put that guard back up.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think that a lot of times when we're in a setting like that too, if we are also gifted and we are also empathic more so than, others, there are a lot of times where I will kind of absorb it like a sponge.
oh yeah,
And, I mean, Amanda and I literally had this conversation yesterday. And was it yesterday? Today's Thursday, so this was Tuesday actually. I had said after we just went shopping, I get in the vehicle, she gets in, and I just exhale and I'm like, I feel so drained, almost like I'm
Mm-hmm.
like a zombie, like I'm not myself, like this isn't my energy. And she agreed with it. And I think it's because we absorb the energy, of course, of other people in the environment. And when we're more sensitive, when we're more in tune with that gift, of course, is going to be very heightened for us. So that's what it would make a lot of sense, if somebody was like that and where you were.
yeah, it's people are going through stuff at work, so
Man.
Yeah, and you absorb a lot.
yeah.
Yeah, you do. You absorb, and so a lot of times the energy you're feeling isn't even your energy. It's just stuff that you're absorbing from around you. Because you're a healer, you're a helper. You want to do it too. I'm sure John can resonate with that. We all kind of absorb shit.
Yeah. He actually showed me, he just went like this. So whenever I see this symbol drawn across my chest, what that tells me is that we also, he said, oh, whew, he says, you need to stop taking on. Can I be blunt with this? Because I feel like he was a very blunt person.
He could be.
Okay. Can you stop taking on more shit than you need to handle? He's like,
Sorry.
he's like, you can't handle much more. He's like, I know you will do it, but sometimes you shouldn't do it, is what he's getting at.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, if there's one thing that he could ever teach anyone, he's like, I'm not a philosophical person. I'll tell you my opinion and take it or leave it. But I think that what he's getting at is when you're pushing and you're doing and you're doing and you're doing for so long, whether it's for other people, your job, this or that, we neglect ourselves. We neglect our physical, mental, and emotional health. And it's funny how we started out the show with some mental awareness and some mental health awareness there, Stacey.
We went with the flow of what we were supposed to talk about tonight. And we keep circling back to that.
I think this is his way of saying, I didn't always take the best care of myself. He said, don't be like me. So I don't know what that means. Like, I feel like there's...
He wouldn't go to the doctor. No. And he had heart surgery. His one, this was years ago, his one vein to his heart was down to the size of a pencil lead, like a number 2 pencil.
Oh, wow.
So he had to have surgery, and he was not supposed to smoke or drink. And he was still drinking, like the little shot glass bottles. And my aunt's like, you need to go to the doctor. You need to get checked out. You need to take better care of yourself.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think he was a Marine. He's stubborn.
A lot of the times, I've noticed that those who were stubborn like that, they it's like here's what I recommend because I didn't do this for myself and now I paid for it, blah 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 blah. I think that now I don't know necessarily if, I don't know. Now, obviously, like I'm not a doctor, right, or anything like that. But have you been having issues with um, your heart like flipping, almost like it's like an extra beat lately?
I just like where I started going through perimenopause,
Okay.
like my whole body's just like, but like
Okay.
I don't know if you've experienced this, Stacy. Like
I
wait,
have. Like, I almost went to
wait,
the emergency room today because I thought I was having a heart attack. Like, I keep
yeah,
waking up in the middle of the night with the weirdness of the heart.
I've gained like 30 pounds and like
Hmm.
leg
Me too.
swelling and stuff.
Yeah, and it's all
Like
like water
yeah,
weight.
yep. And
Like,
then
I went from a size 6 to a size 12, almost 14 at this point.
oh wow, yeah,
Yeah.
and like it's like just that weight has made it harder to breathe.
Hmm. It
And like
has.
Okay.
the swelling makes you not want to go get up and move around a lot. So
Right.
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
all.
I would. Are you on like any sort of diuretic or anything like that? Not to get
No,
like too
they won't
personal
give
or
me
anything.
anything. No, my doctor's like, oh, just cut your salt out. You'll be okay.
If you notice that there's a lot more water tension, even if you do cut out a little bit of the salt too, um, there are different things. And actually, my mom takes. They call them, I think, water pills. It makes you,
Hmm.
it essentially makes you pee.
Yeah.
And it really does help with like retention. So again, like around the legs, I noticed like for me, I'm only 25, but because of the damage that I've done to my knee,
He's just
I
a
noticed that a
baby.
lot of times I'm just a baby.
He's just
A
a
lot of
baby.
times that I get issues with that, especially if I, am dehydrated and I'm like, oh, I need to actually drink. So I drink a shit ton of water. And then I'm like, wow, my knee really hurts right now. It's because it's swelled right up. So um, I don't know if that's maybe an option for you to try. I know with menopause in general, it's very tricky sort of thing because obviously the everything is out of whack in a way. Um, but that's something that
Are
I
you?
know
Did they
she
put you on
takes.
any like the hormone stuff, like for
No.
perimenopause? No, I
No,
haven't
I've
taken it either, but I've heard like natural progesterone. If you find like the natural like cream, like my sister gave me some things to use, and my sister's a gynecologist. Um, but I
one of the
haven't tried
gals I
anything
work
yet.
with does it. She has like a
Yeah.
patch she puts on. Yeah.
And
I
again,
know
I
this is
like
something you want to talk about, John, right?
I grew up having a sister and of course my mom, my my best friend who's also my boss, and like her daughter growing up, and like it doesn't faze me. Trust me. You're perfectly
It's
fine.
just
Um,
The pee
but no, of
pads
course.
for
have
roast
become
the mouth,
toys.
for water retention.
Now,
For,
Stacy, I
Mm.
thought that you were potty trained.
So, you got people. Look, this is what she does to it.
that's what ours did too.
Well,
That's funny.
she's almost fully potty trained now, but I'm on the podcast. I took her out just once. I just paused my camera. She went pee, but now she's whining again. So I was like, well, let me put the pad down just in case. And she decides to play with it.
She's like, I just want attention. You've been busy. But,
That's what it is.
but no, I hope that that helps you. It's funny how that worked, of course, because he came to me before the show and I wasn't expecting
Mm-hmm.
it. Um, but I think that he definitely is an observer. He definitely watches over you. He watches over your family. Um, and
What time is it?
he does also. I don't know if you guys have like. Yes, he is your uncle, but I don't know if you guys have like a kind of almost like a brotherly sister type of relationship in a way, where you guys can like joke around and like do certain things like that. But he will still try to do that for you. He definitely is watching over you for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we used to give each other a hard time. Like when Hillary ran for office and Trump was running. Oh yeah, that was fun times.
Yeah, because I think like the whole I love how this whole thing occurred because like John, I do the same thing. Sometimes before I go to an event, I'll get these visions or these dreams of people, and then I'm like, oh, this was for you. Um, and like Jen, you and I have kind of talked back and forth with some of the mental health stuff, and
Yeah.
so this is kind of all wrapped up into like this. You were supposed to be getting these messages tonight, so I think that was amazing. I really do, John. You're amazing. I just freaking love you. Like you're amazing.
I
He's
wasn't
25.
expecting that.
Can you imagine when he's 50? What the shit he's gonna do?
If I
Like
can make it to 50, Jesus, I already feel like I'm like 60.
I'll be
you
dead
are
by
going to
that
make it to
time.
50. We will be
You'll
dead by
be
the time he's
talking to
50.
me and giving other people messages when you're 50.
Yes, I'll be
I'll be
coming
like,
through. We will be.
Stacey.
I'll be your
I
guide.
appreciate
I'm going to
it.
come back as your guide.
No,
Watch
you'll
me,
still be
John.
around in
I'm going to
25
come
years.
back as
You'll
your
be fine.
guide.
But all right.
Oh, please.
Well, I
But yes, we are
appreciate
like
it.
way over. Like this has been the longest podcast I've done in a while, and I just want to recognize Brooke. Brooke has been like commenting, for a while here, and you've been drawing a lot from society. And Brooke, I've actually never seen you on my podcast. You've actually never commented. So here's what I said earlier about this mental health thing, and about like people don't recognize, like they think that like, oh, what's wrong with them? They're like withdrawing from us. They're not talking to us. Like they're taking something away from us. So Brooke, are you okay? I just, reach out to me, reach out to John, reach out to, there's many people in the field that love you to death. And we're sending nothing but love. And I know you just went through some surgery. I follow your story all the time and stuff that's going on. So I'm here for you, and I'm sure John is too. Jen, I don't know if you know Brooke.
I haven't met her.
She'd be
She's a
great to have at
sweetheart.
one of your Paracons. She's a sweetheart, and she has she's a Squishmallow, and I think she's actually now an official Squishmallow retailer. I think she's got the official, like it's taken her a while. She's been trying to get the official like Squishmallow retailer like status or whatever to be able to directly buy from them.
That's cool.
So
They're
yeah,
so squishy.
she's I mean, she has like this huge setup, and it's so cool. She's does a lot of the Paracons, does a lot of the punk rock stuff. I don't know if you'll be at Punk Rock Flea Market Brooke this weekend, but she has an amazing setup.
Vintage toys and all sorts of cool stuff.
Squishables, not Squishmallows. Yeah, vintage toys. She has a lot of vintage toys, stuff like that. Brooke, we love you so much. You have no idea. Like I love like when we stay at have the same events, we have breakfast together. We always meet at breakfast, whether it's good or not. So that's all I wanted to call out to her. So anything else, John, you want to? We're going to send you healing energy, Brooke, your way. We're going to continue to send that. Anything else you are picking up on, want to say before we end the show tonight?
Not really. I just want to, of course, thank you for allowing me to come on and, hang out and, kind of yap, as I think that's everybody's saying now. I feel old now saying that, but it was just really nice to, do this sort of thing, chat about all sort of things metaphysics. And thank you for allowing me to connect with your uncle tonight there, Jen.
Well, thank you for doing that. I was not expecting it.
That's
At
okay.
first, I thought when you said lungs, all I could think was my grandpa because he was a coal miner. And then you said the dog tags.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will say now, the lung thing was first, so it wouldn't surprise me if he or grandfather is also there. But I think the main message that needed to be heard was from your uncle. So
yeah,
it's really good. Don't be surprised.
That's how this works. Like,
if you go and get another reading from either Stacy or for somebody else, that if your grandfather does come through too, because it wouldn't surprise me. That's 1000% piggybacking when it comes to working with mediumship.
Mhm.
It happens all the time. So
I know.
It really does.
Been a couple of weeks ago, we went to the little a metaphysical shop here. They had an open house, and one of the gals I ghost hunt with, I had her do Reiki on myself and on the little guy that came over here and hugged me. And she said there's an older man that stays outside the door to protect the house. And she described my grandpa.
That's funny because literally I wrote down male, watchful eye, and / protector.
Yeah, like I'll be sitting in the living room and I will see a shadow right outside my front door that goes back and forth. They won't come in the house, but they walk back and forth in front of that front door on the porch.
Yeah.
So
yes, that's really interesting.
But yeah, she's just like, you have a man that watches over him, that protects him, but won't come in the house.
Yeah.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
And then you come up with all that too. I'm like, oh wow.
No,
and I wasn't even expecting anything.
That's when the best things usually happen, when they're least expected.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, and the elemental too.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's like where my forte is. It is more elemental. Oh my goodness. More elemental. My brain is not working correctly because I'm a puppy mom right now. Yeah. But those elementals, they'll tell us a lot. Like that's what I meant by that. They're more ancient energies, so they're gonna pick up on karmic resonances, like or karmic energies and past karmic stuff and emotions and those inner roots. If you think of like how our natural world is entwined and in balance with each other, and one has to live or die because and for the other, the circle of life. But even trees itself, they have these roots that go into the ground, and underneath that ground they are connecting with each other, and they're doing like what they need to do to survive. And that's those ancient earth energies that are here for us. And I think that's something that came to you. You said your parents had divorced not long after that.
Yep.
And your dad was abusive. So it was coming to you saying, hey, everything's going to be okay. I got this. Like it was that elemental energy that was working its forces. Just even like tonight, elemental energy brought you here to get the messages you need from John. So
Root has got your back.
Do what?
Has got your back.
That's right.
We need to make a bumper sticker that says that, or a shirt. Groot has got your back.
That's right.
I don't know if you can actually use that because it's like, licensed, but
like put 3 O's or put an E on it or add an extra I. I don't know. So, well, thank you both.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Feel free to jump off whenever you need to. I have an ending and all that stuff. So I appreciate you coming on. I was like, I just felt like called that I had to bring you on. So
I appreciate it. Well, thank you. You two have a good night. 5 o'clock is going to come early.
Yes.
I know. I'm 6 myself. So
all right. Have a good night.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys, thank you all for joining. John, thank you so much for joining and being co-host tonight and kind of just having this chat. I think it went, I just felt really good about it. We came up with some topics that, I think people need to start to touch on, and it all came back to mental health. And I think that was where we were supposed to go tonight. And I appreciate you being here to be able to hold that space with everybody that needs to be held space right now.
Absolutely.
So, and all of you in the comments, everybody that showed up, everybody that's commenting, sharing, sending stars, I appreciate it. Like I could not do this without you. Like I am here because of you. Like there would be no podcast if I didn't have the people that watch the podcast. So thank you guys for joining. And again, please make sure everybody fill your cup first, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And John, I'm getting ready to end. Can you just stay on camera for real quick for the ending?